Mr Speaker.
I call Matt Ducey.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Pleasure and an honour to rise and speak in full support of the Papawai and Kaikokirikiri Trust Amendment Bill in its third reading. Can I just acknowledge the trustees and supporters in the gallery today. It's the first time I've spoken on this bill in its third reading, but when having a look through, I must say some of the narrative that underpins this bill is when you look at part of our role, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, Mr Speaker, in my contribution as legislators to modernise and update legislation. So this bill was enacted in 1943, 73 years ago, and as my colleague Ian McKelvey highlighted, not a lot of boards and trusts survived to be 73. It's a good innings. Congratulations for the longevity and the ability to maintain your values through that. So I don't think this legislation is looking to change any of the underpinning values, but just modernising and updating this legislation. Just to acknowledge Alistair Scott, local hard-working electorate MP, when we think about the focus today of very much what's happening around the world, it brings back that saying that politics is local, and that's exactly what Mr Scott's done with this bill today. Very much a local bill that it's the heart of politics, being local and very supportive, and means a lot for people in his electorate. Also to the Māori Affairs Select Committee, who I heard was very collaborative and productive as they shepherded this bill under the chairmanship of Nuk Karako through the legislative process. So only a couple of submissions, some minor changes, but one thing I wanted to focus on in this modernising and updating of this bill, it actually reflects some of the changes through time since the 73 years this bill was enacted. And one was around mental health. So many in the House will know my career before entering politics was mental health, and it was referred to me that my background would be very good at engaging other politicians. And when you look at that, in that humour, there is some truth, because very much still we battle through the mental health stigma around us and them. But when you look at mental health, we know that over the course of our lives, we'll all have good and bad mental health. So very much we're all in this together. So under Clause 5 for vacancies, the bill originally had a clause that any person with mental health issues would cause a vacancy on the board. And quite rightly, when we got the report back, Section 7 from the Attorney General identified this Clause 5 being inconsistent with the New Zealand Bill of Rights and discriminatory. So very much it's great that we've learned from these things over the years and understand that mental health issues are not something that can stop people participating. Another key area that underpins this bill, Mr Speaker, is around the role of education. And just to acknowledge the fundamental belief of the trustees, very much the underpinning of education around social mobility. So when we look at the range of incomes that New Zealanders will receive, there's a strong correlation between their education and their education attainment and what they will go on and earn over their lives. So it's right that this trust invests heavily into education of their young people. Very much we live in a globalised world today, and very much in this globalised world it's very competitive for jobs and incomes, and many of the young people that you'll be supporting through your education scholarships will probably go on and travel a bit over time, and they'll realise how competitive the world is. And very much it's people like yourself that are setting them up for great success in life, to be productive members of society by providing them with scholarships for their education, and I acknowledge you for that. Another key underpinning of this bill I wanted to talk about in my short contribution, Mr Speaker, was around self-determination. And it's fantastic that bills like this, as we update and modernise them, will give this board flexibility to self-determine, thinking about where they're going to invest their capital to get the best return that ultimately they will disperse into the young people that they're overseeing to increase their education, to increase their educational attainment and ultimately increase their outcomes in life. So I wholeheartedly support this bill to the House. Thank you.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Papawai and Kaikokirikiri Trust Amendment Bill, third reading.
I call on members' order of the day